deep fried neurons here. We will return to scheduled programming of whatever I think is interesting again after I'm done ranting about this. And I do get out of hand at some point in the episode, like I just go off and I sort of spin around in circles, but I did not edit all of it out because even in the middle I made some good points, so bear with me there. But along with just giving my opinion on what the Prashant Bhushan case sort of entails, I sort of go into the details of what the background of everything involved is. So please to listen. Thank you for your time, and I'm just gonna cue the fucking... I avoid talking about current affairs on my podcast because the kind of accuracy it takes and the kind of emotional labor it takes to like sort of make current affairs content consistently and to be very accurate with it and to make sure that you're not giving your audience misinformation and to make sure that you're not sensationalizing the issue is a lot of work, and I know that I'm not qualified for it and I don't have the resources for it is what I believe. So like I bring more interesting conversations I can facilitate with credibility as far as I can provide is accurate. Of course, as an individual, I talk about politics on my personal things, like my personal followings, whatever. But that's not the same as the podcast, because the podcast is sort of a place to like, it's a knowledge place for me more than anything. But when it comes to free speech, it's sort of a pet peeve issue for me. Like it's an issue I can't not talk about, and today's one of those cases. You definitely read the title. If you're Indian, you know what is going on because it is of national importance. The whole country is glued to this issue. Not the whole country, a number of them though. And if you're not on the side of the people that care about this issue immensely, I strongly hope that you definitely come around and like you sort of see what's going on around you and see this issue as the importance that it is. So I'm gonna give the context for the full story. I know some of this is just gonna be like Captain Obvious things, but well, bear with me here. I think you should be fine if you hear like 2 minutes of what is what and who is who, because well, for I think only 30 to 40% of my audience is Indian. Everybody else is like from scattered across the globe. Anyway, so the first thing you need to know is about the Indian Supreme Court, because they're one of the parties in this thing. In India, the Supreme Court has a lot of autonomy. In general, the judiciary has a lot of autonomy. In general, the Supreme Court, being the apex court, has the most autonomy when it comes to national importance cases. And they are known to be, or at least in the last 30 years have come out to be the last beacon of safety for the Indian democracy. They have made sure that at all costs the Indian democracy is safeguarded by their attempts and by their actions, and they have acted very responsibly in this case. And to be fair, their history is quite impressive. In some cases, 2018 alone was an amazing year for the Indian Supreme Court, according to me. They did a lot of corrections into the Indian democracy, which was a gross violation of a lot of people. I know this is a slight of a tangent, but we will take this tangent. One of the decisions in 2018 taken by the Supreme Court included the abdication of Section 497 of IPC, which criminalized adultery. Now, this is one of my favorite laws just to read as to what was allowed until 2018. It treated women as the property of the husband. I'm just going to read the bare law to you. Section 497 IPC, adultery. Whoever has sexual intercourse with a person who is and whom he knows or has the reason to believe to be the wife of another man without the consent or connivance of that man, such sexual intercourse not amounting to the offence of rape is guilty of the offence of adultery and shall be punishable with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 5 years, or with fine, or both. In such case, the wife shall not be punishable as an abettor. So the legislation sort of straight up criminalized adultery in the sense that a wife is the property of a man, and the violation of that property, that is having sex with that woman, is a crime that only another man can commit by invading his property. That was the basis of this, at least that's what I understand. It was written 159 years ago as of now, but dear God, it took us so long to get rid of it. So that's what happened in Section 4, the reading of Section 497. Other landmark cases in 2018 were, of course, the Triple Talaq case, where a woman could be divorced by a Muslim husband by saying talaq thrice, and it was a constitutionally valid way of divorcing, which was also declared to be illegal by the Supreme Court. They also read down Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, which took out the legal purview of looking at homosexual sexual intercourse between a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, as unnatural under Section 377, and sort of gave them the freedom that they always deserved, which also happened in September 2018. So overall, the Supreme Court has had a pretty good run in some cases when it comes to protecting civil liberties of a nation, or of the citizens of the nation. And those are three of a lot of judgments that the Supreme Court has made that sort of have come to the rescue of a lot of people's civil rights, like basic rights under Article 14 to 21, which sort of protect your fundamental rights in this case. But also, the Supreme Court has run into a lot of controversy, especially given the rise of the new central government. And there has been a lot of criticism about a lot of the controversial decisions made under the leadership of the new Supreme Court. And it is a time of peril, given the way the decisions have come. Especially this pandemic has shown the Supreme Court to be a little more politicized and a lot more ineffective than it is necessary for a really good functioning democracy. Now, the other party that we need to understand who is involved in this scandal is Prashant Bhushan himself. Prashant Bhushan is a legal activist. He is a lawyer, a huge lawyer in Supreme Court who's pleaded about 50 cases pro bono, including some of the biggest matters of national importance in this country. He, in 1990, along with his father, he made the CJA, or the Committee of Judicial Accountability, to fight corruption within the judiciary. He's written books about Beaufort scandal in 1990. He's been representative in like matters of national importance and scams on pro bono basis on multiple levels. Also, not his first rodeo, I should mention. He has claimed that 16 judges working in the Supreme Court are corrupt in 2010, and he was dragged into court for contempt at the time by Advocate Harish Sarde, if I'm not wrong. And at the time, he explained his statements and refused to apologize. And now he's been dragged again for tweets. Now, it is important to understand why this case is so peculiar and why it sets such a dangerous precedent. If you don't know what happened, I'll let you know, don't worry. But Prashant Bhushan was brought to court on 14th August 2020, within 24 days of his tweets, where one of the tweets he said was that when people look back in history, they will see the decline of Indian democracy with the decisions of the last 4 CJIs of this country. A criticism of the CJIs in general. And the second one was about CJI Bobde, where he was seen riding a 50 lakh bike that belonged to a BJP MLA, the ruling party's MLA, in front of the Raj Bhavan in Nagpur, without a helmet or a mask, in a time where the Supreme Court was closed because of the corona pandemic and the lockdown, and for safety reasons. And one of the reasons was that the judges must be kept safe, and he was not taking care of his own safety here. And he was denying the fundamental right of access to justice to these people. And this is a very turbulent time, because after the lockdown, a lot of political prisoners have been taken in, and a lot of their pleas have been denied. The hearing of Article 370 is still pending, which has kept Kashmir without internet for about a year. A lot of matters where legislation, which is very controversial, is still of debate on multiple political and civil levels are pending in Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has moved this matter up within 24 days, which is already not a good look for the Supreme Court. Justice Arun Mishra has taken cognizance of the issue himself and brought Prashant Bhushan to the court, and he's been tried for contempt of court. Now, the contempt of court charges against Prashant Bhushan are under two legislations, one of them being the Contempt of Court Act 1971, generally all of it, and Article 142 and Article 129 of the Indian Constitution. And on August 14th, in a very shocking verdict, Justice Arun Mishra led a three-judge bench into a verdict where Prashant Bhushan was held guilty of criminal contempt of court for exactly two tweets. I think most of us would be familiar with what criminal contempt of court is, but this is again a Captain Obvious type of podcast, so I'm just going to let you know. Contempt of court is basically impeding or undermining the authority of the Supreme Court with an intention to sort of stop the functioning of the court or restricting the smooth functioning of deliverance of justice by the judiciary body. It is a power given to almost all judges under Contempt of Court Act 1971, but Supreme Court has special powers under Article 142 and 129 since they're a constitutional court, and this power is not usually used. The reason I mention that is very simple, is because it is important in this case. The last popular act of contempt that was condemned by the court was a long time ago. I don't exactly remember the dates, but I will leave an article in the description that sort of documents that part of history. Arundhati Roy, a popular activist and writer, was jailed for contempt of court before this for protesting outside the court. That's how far it was that she impeded the motion of justice, and it is usually reserved for interrupting the judge or interrupting the processes by physical or verbal actions, and the judges are given this power so that the sanctity of their office is maintained, and so is their ability and autonomy to function within the courtroom itself. Now, the absurdity of the notion starts right at the beginning, where it all started, that the Supreme Court is genuinely saying that their authority was undermined by a loyal servant of the court who has been acting within the confines of the system for 30 years by tweeting, by an online method, by public statement of criticism. And the problem there is that CJI, such as I think Justice Joseph from the past, have sort of said something along the lines before, and the Supreme Court, of course, said that no names must be taken, so I'm going to refuse from doing that again. But the drama sort of happened on August 20, 2020, where the sentencing hearing was going on. Prashant Bhushan is to be sentenced for punishment for his conviction of being contemptuous to court, and during this, the court sort of is hinting at the fact that if Mr. Bhushan reconsiders his statement and issues a statement of apology for his statement, then in that case, the Supreme Court is willing to let go, and this hearing can be dismissed and no punishment can be issued. But it is safe to say in this case that sis snapped. Prashant Bhushan has said that he is extremely shocked by the fact that he has been misunderstood, and he says that what he did he believes to be the duty of any responsible citizen, and also that the Supreme Court chooses to misunderstand him is sort of a very problematic thing. He quoted Mahatma Gandhi on that he does not ask for mercy. He says that what he has done is only his duty as a citizen, and the Supreme Court has painted it to be an offense, and he demands an explanation as to why he's being tried under by what complaint, which has been denied to him. Now, within the advocate that is representing Mr. Bhushan has also stated that under these circumstances, the Supreme Court must consider that who the critique is and what the intention is. The fact that the Supreme Court has refused to accept the affidavit giving the explanation of Mr. Bhushan's statements is also extremely painful to look at. And Mr. Bhushan sort of has said that he will not apologize, and now there's a deadlock between the Supreme Court and Mr. Bhushan, where Mr. Bhushan is refusing to apologize, and the Supreme Court says that you're going to jail if you don't apologize. And he's been given a time of 2 days to change his statement or reconsider his statement, but it is unlikely that he will come forward and apologize to the Supreme Court. The advocate representing Mr. Bhushan has sort of, again, I think I may be repeating myself, but has stated that the credibility of the individual criticizing the court and the institutional allegiance of the same has to be considered before a sentence of punishment is passed. And of course, it seems a little egregious to hold the Supreme Court's important issues behind and taking this decision up and the haste with which the Supreme Court is rushing to a decision in this case is unsavory for this democracy, and it is extremely difficult to watch as a citizen to happen. That cases more important than this have not been given anything. And Justice Arun Mishra to that replied that if 100 good deeds don't minus out 10 crimes. And that statement sort of rubbed me the wrong way. When Prashant Bhushan says he did no crime, Mr. Justice Mishra has been insistent on the fact that he is a criminal, and it is painful to watch. It seems like the misuse of the judicial authority that he has been given, and it does not paint a good picture for the court at all. Now, during the pandemic, during a time when political prisoners have been held within the confines of the Indian government's hands for so long, adding to that list under contempt is a huge problem. The court seems to suggest that any dissent against the Supreme Court is impediment of justice, and the larger question here are the statements the questions on character of CJI Bobde, or is the autonomy and the authority of the Supreme Court has been challenged by Prashant Bhushan. It does not seem like the former to me. It does not seem like the second one to me. But the Supreme Court seems to think so, and to think the dangerous precedent that it sets already, that you can be held in contempt of court without being even in the proximity of the court. The court could see you say something on Twitter and bring you to the court to be punished for contempt. It is unfortunate to say that even this episode could be contemptuous of the court, which is very dangerous, because what I'm doing is expressing my opinion as a citizen on a current affair of the Supreme Court, and if the Supreme Court refuses to take that dissent in good light of criticism by people who offer them autonomy to act as judicial beings on their behalf, then where does this go? Does that mean I am a subject of the court, or am I a citizen of a democracy where I have the power along with my peers, or do they have the power as meritorious aristocrats? And it is a very, very grim picture to paint of the judiciary, because they have been a last beacon of democracy for a very long time. They have been a meritorious institution for a very long time. In this case, the Supreme Court seems hell-bent on proving that they have brittle ears, and they would like to set a precedent for the same. Of course, I want everybody to have sort of the full picture of this entire situation, which is why I will give you the live law review version of the same, like a link of the live law thread of tweets which covered the sentencing hearing of this case in particular. Along with that, I will also leave in the link leave a link to the video of Deshbhakt, a YouTube channel that does current affairs videos in Hindi, but they do have English subtitles, so that shouldn't stop you from enjoying their content. For people who are non-Hindi speaking Indians, or even just people from abroad who would be interested in Indian current affairs, he does make really good videos, and I quite enjoy them most of the time. I'm a huge fan, you could say. Of course, he's not as funny as he thinks. I'm sorry, Mr. Akash Banerjee, but unfortunately, I do not find you funny. However, he did a great job covering the Prashant Bhushan case so far, and I hope that after 2 days, the Supreme Court shows the large-heartedness and patience on its behalf, and they sort of, while stand by the precedent that they've set by holding Mr. Prashant Bhushan in contempt, do not sentence him with any punishment, which actually can range up to 6 months, which is a lot for a tweet. So that's all I have for you this week. I will recommend you check out Deshbhakt's channel, because his YouTube videos sort of help me reorganize my thoughts and sort of like reaffirmed my research that if he believes live law is a good source, then I should too. Live law is a pretty good source, by the way. I've left a link in the description for that as well. Alongside that, please support me on Patreon if you think the content is worth it. Subscribe to me on YouTube, no matter where you get your content. That's how I sort of see a place for you, like genuine viewers over there. Other than that, we also have YouTube exclusive content, which you will miss out on if you don't have if you don't get the YouTube subscription thing, which is free, by the way. You just have to click the red button over there. Besides that, I have nothing really. Have a good time. Bye.